Welcome in, everyone, to Titan Esports Divinity League, week number 2. I'm Caleb Peng. I'm joined with Anti. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. And I mean, honestly, anytime that we're casting Divinity together, I'm always having a good time. So I'm especially excited to see these two teams go toe-to-toe. Jolly Rogers, Queen Anne's, and GCCE Street Fighters, if I remember correctly. They got a lot of letters in that acronym.
Yes, you got every letter correct. The E is actually lowercase, but it is there. And this is group.
What does this mean?
I don't know. I'm sure it stands for something that I don't know off the top of my head. But we are in Group B, so there are two groups within Divinity League. Group B plays against each other. Group A plays against each other, and then we have a top 8, so 4 from each group making it into the playoffs after the 7-week regular season. And we are in week 2 of the regular season. Jolly Rogers, Queen Anne's, that's a long name too, JR2A.
I know, right?
They are 1-0, so they won last week, and then GCCE Street Fighters, they lost last week, so they're 0-1. But it is early on, so and we can see some of the players and their mastery. As a reminder, this is Emerald 4 cap and below, so those will be the general expected ranks of these players. You can see their various different masteries, and because of its Divinity League, we see oftentimes the bans are more respect bans than maybe stuff that's in the meta, because some people, they might just have a really good Lulu up their sleeve, and you just got to respect it.
Yeah, and sometimes you just find yourself in a scenario where you have to go for respect bans over the meta bans because your opponent doesn't play the meta bans, or maybe your own opponent, your own teammates don't play the meta champions. But right now, one thing also to note is Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's coming into this not just with a 1 series win, but with a clean 2-0 sweep. So they have not dropped a game yet. I mean, we're only in the 2nd week in, and we haven't had any games past the initial ones, but it's definitely a good place to be starting in. In the meantime, on the other side, GCCE Street Fighters, while they are down 1 series, they did end up putting up a good fight, took it all the way to game 3. So we're going to have to see whether or not that fight is still left in them, or if they're slowly losing their motivation just as the season's getting started.
Yeah, and I believe Street Fighters did make it into playoffs in the last split last season. So
that they did.
Definitely have a lot of experience under their belts. And, you know, this really could be anyone's game for this. It is a best of 3, and it is fearless format for the draft. So for those that aren't familiar, it is similar to the pro scene, or exactly like the pro scene, where any champions drafted in previous games cannot be used in subsequent games. So you'll never see any repeat champions, and if it goes the distance, then game number 3 should have 40 champions off the table if you include the regular ban phases as well. So could be exciting stuff, and a good time to really see different skill expression on various different champions, to see kind of how deep the champion pools go for all the respective players.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing to note for the GCCE Street Fighters, if I remember correctly, they did make it into playoffs last season, but they didn't make it into playoffs as one of the highest seeds in their group. But They still managed to make a couple upsets. They got all the way to the semifinals, if I remember correctly. I could just be hallucinating the whole thing. Either way, this is a team that has some history under its belt. And with two of their players returning, it's far from a team that you just have to rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah, definitely. I believe you're right. They definitely made it to at least semifinals because I believe I was commentating that match. I
Yeah,
don't recall if they won that one though or not, but
they
I think
did
it went to a
not.
game 5. Yeah.
They
Oh
ended
yeah,
up losing
it went
out
to
to
Team
Monkeys
Podcast.
Night
Yeah.
City, the eventual champions of the entire league. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not exactly bad opponents to be dropping
No.
against.
Definitely not. Yeah, I do remember that now off the top of my head. It went all the way to game 5 because in the playoffs they are best of fives, and it was a long broadcast, but a fun one for sure. A lot of
We love
very hype
bangers here.
moments. Absolutely, absolutely. And in Divinity League, like I always say, anything can really happen in Divinity League. So as we get the players underway on the drafts, we will be starting shortly, but we can take a look at the players on respective teams. So on Jolly Roger's side, we have Tace in that top lane, Jesus Juice 13 in the jungle, Frost in the mid lane, Ion D as the ADC slash bot laner, and then Mr. Geeky as a support.
It does make me wonder, is it Ion D or Ioned? Like, a past tense version of Ion.
Yeah, so I
Who
think
knows?
the full name it's Ion ION lowercase, and then the D is capitalized. That's why I said Ion D.
Honestly,
But
you make a good argument.
you never know. It could be something completely different. I know some people use capitalized I's for L's, and that gets very confusing too. If
That's
how they
true.
want those pronounced.
But
And
this
then
is a lowercase one, so.
this is a lowercase one. Yes, yeah. And then on the Street Fighter side, we have Ares OMA. OMA are capitalized.
Arizona?
That's what I say.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe. Arizona. D1 Busy. I say D1 Busy, but I might be mispronouncing that because there's
I'm
no
thinking it's Dibsy.
Dibsy.
I
Oh,
would put
Dibsy
money on
actually
Dibsy.
makes a lot more sense. I've been saying D1 Busy for forever, but yeah, it's probably Dibsy actually, but just with the cool kids use numbers for their letters, and then decomposition. This show me because the
If there
letters,
was arguments about decomposition, we were gonna have to start throwing hands. I mean, we wouldn't get past this broadcast.
that would be a wild one. Dion Atlas, and then Variana. I might be pronouncing some of these wrong.
Go with Dion, Atlas, and Variana.
Dion,
but either way,
Dion Atlas. Yeah. Wait, how do you say the support's name again?
Variana.
Variana.
That's what I'm guessing, but who knows?
Could be it. So
you put two ESL casters on at the same time, like I don't know.
Crazy enough, some personal lore, but they made me go through ESL twice. They had me go through it in the first school I went to, and then I was switched towns. My English was totally fine at this point. It honestly was probably okay the first time around, but they made me go through ESL again until I guess my parents found out, like, hey, he's already been through ESL in another school years ago. Like, why are we, there wasn't much diversity in my school, so I just figured anyone that wasn't white or whatever, they just threw into ESL class. But
it's like, if you don't look like English is your native language, we're chucking you into ESL.
It technically wasn't, but I learned it by the age of 2, so I think I mean,
trust me, I feel you. Right?
Yeah. But that's also my excuse, though. If I ever mispronounce something, I was like,
it's such a great excuse.
It's not my first language, so you can't really be mad about it.
What are they gonna do about it? Yeah,
I'll be back in ESL for a third time.
Yeah, as someone who also has English as their second language, definitely a great excuse. If someone's like, "Wait, why do you pronounce almond like that?" I'm just like, it made sense to me. I don't know. And it's like, oh, well, it has to be different. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, my mom's a big pronunciation of salmon as salmon, and that's kind of how I learned it for a while until I realized.
Honestly, but there's an argument to be made there, right? Like, it should just sound how it looks.
Well, I know a lot of, I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia, and a lot of people in the South, they also called it salmon, and they were native English speakers, so I don't know. But those same people would call me Caleb instead of Caleb. And again, these are like English is their first language and only language. So
Oh boy.
I'm a little lost for words there myself.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
we got a few slip ups, a few different little, you know, personalized differences, I guess, in the way how we say things, but also a little bit in the way how our games are currently running as we're running into a couple of technical difficulties. So we will be going to a quick intermission rather than just chat about the English language for the next couple minutes. So don't go anywhere. We'll have some League of Legends content for you when you get back.
All right, we are back with Divinity League, and we're going to go straight into the drafts between Street Fighters and Jolly Rogers. It's going to be Street Fighters on the blue side and Jolly Rogers on the red side.
Yeah, and I gotta say, right, there's a lot of really important bans that you do have to be worried about when it comes to this patch. Jax, still a monster of a champion, right? And we didn't really see so much of that Jax priority in that last series that we casted last week, but that's largely because, well, if you're not playing the champion, what's the point of dealing with it in the pick ban phase? In the meantime, Ashe and Akali taken off the table. So we're getting rid of the A's, right? I mean, Aatrox is surely the next one.
Yes, and we for anyone curious why there's some missing bans outside Street Fighter, so the official rules for Divinity League is any players that don't have like a rank placement yet for the split within the client, for each player that doesn't have a rank set down yet, the team will lose 2 bans per game. So I believe that means that Street Fighters is missing 2 players with rank games, so
Whoa.
they will have 1 ban. We get a Nocturne first pick. Kind of
Okay,
interesting
so
one.
yeah, I mean, thank you for the robust explanation, but Nocturne
Yeah.
first pick, I do actually like a lot, right? This is one of those champions that is very, very strong in a competitive sense. I mean, you hit R, you don't even need to actually dive that backline. Turning the lights off alone is so high value. But right now, another way how to deal with the Nocturne is just go and mess with the enemy's backline, right? You got the Wukong, you got Jinx to make sure that you've always got ways how to hit that front line and do a lot of damage there. But okay, we are getting a lot of AoE coming in from the side of the Street Fighters here. So Nocturne turns the lights off, Smolder just throws everything everywhere while everyone takes a bunch of damage, and it's going to be particularly difficult to actually get on top of that dragon when you can't see him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And, it's going to be, you could use the Nocturne Ultimate for defensive purposes or offensive purposes as well. We get the Sona pickup for the side of Jolly Rogers. And, of course, Jinx to hyper carry in her own right. We get the York ban as well. So probably banning out some of these mid laners and top laners. A lot of mid laners already banned on the side of Jolly Rogers' side. So probably some targeted bans towards decomposition. On the side of Street Fighters. And yeah, again, they're missing 4 bans, so they will have 1 ban for each game, which makes things a little bit interesting because you're going to let a few champions through every time. We get a Shen ban on the side of Charlie Rogers, and this could be the Sion ban. So targeting all those top laners.
Interesting. So one of the things I will also note, right, with that Scion ban that says, hey, we don't want to be dealing with a super ultra mega tank. So if I am, oh my God, never mind. They're just locking that Aatrox.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, right, if I am the Jolly Roger Queen Anne's, I would have said, oh, well, I mean, Ornn is still available, and that's a super tank that they don't really want to be dealing with. Would have been pretty all right into that Ambessa, but in the meantime, we are just going to be getting Ambessa v Aatrox, lots and lots of that very high octane gameplay in that top lane. I'm expecting to see quite a few kills going back and forth, regardless of whether or not they are assisted. If these junglers are worth their salt, though, top lane is going to be a bloodbath because bot lane is a snooze fest and a half. Mid lane is just that Syndra v Azir, going to be another set of farming, but top lane, oh baby, we're going to be getting some damage coming through.
Oh, definitely. And I was going to say, too, not a lot of frontline on the side of Street Fighters, but with that Azir pickup, too, there's not a lot of frontline on the side of Jolly Rogers as well. So, like you said, a lot of damage and not much tanks all around, which could definitely be good for, honestly, both sides, right? Got a lot of targets you could burst down pretty quickly with the Syndra. But, I mean, Jinx with squishier targets, you just hit that, the passive early, and those fights can really snowball from there. So I think these are very interesting drafts, though. Which draft do you favor more here, Anti?
Honestly, it's really interesting here because generally speaking, right, if you look at the Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's, you say, all right, well, they clearly have an Exodia composition. They have a very, very good team comp for fighting as a 5v5. If they can get to these objectives first, they're in a really good spot. That being said, the GCCE Street Fighters have a team composition that does okay in a standard front-to-back 5v5, will clearly lose in that standard front-to-back 5v5, but Nocturne's here, right? You don't have to play a standard front-to-back when the lights are off. When nobody's looking, you can do whatever you want. And diving that backline, making sure that Jinx doesn't have a chance to actually play the game is extremely beneficial for the side of the Street Fighters. I'm thinking that if Queen Anne's do get that early lead, it's going to be very hard to wrestle that away from them. But the Street Fighters have a very, very good tool to just throw a wrench directly into their plan. So, all that being said, I've said a whole lot of nothing. I'm going to go give it to the Street Fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I think also on top of that too, that Ambessa is going to be looking to, pull off some public executions on the Jinx as much as possible, right? You pull out, you get that Jinx low. Jinx doesn't have a ton of self peel in those situations. Could really help kick off the team fights really in your favor. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I do agree with your assessment. I think Street Fighters do have a pretty strong composition to really scramble things for the side of Jolly Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, should be very interesting here, especially when Nocturne has a dive buddy, is when he's most happy. But one thing I will also say, right, the Syndra on that front line should be very, very interesting here because there's a possibility, right, that we do end up getting a bit of a pause. But other than the pauses and people getting booted from the game here and there, I have to say it's very interesting that the Syndra Nocturne is a combo that a lot of people don't really talk about so much, right? A lot of the time, Syndra has the ability to outplay button, right? You have the ability to build up a 7-ball ultimate and then just one-shot the enemy AD carry. That's great if you can get a good flank, right? If you can get something crazy going on. When the lights are off, makes it a lot easier to go for something like that. Even so, one other thing that a lot of Syndras don't do that they can make a ton of use out of is go for a 7-ball ultimate on a frontliner, right? Just hit the Wukong with it. Doesn't matter if Wukong's building full magic resist, that's not what it's for. The reason why you do that, the reason why you pick up all of those, ult shots is so you can use Scatter the Weak to go straight through that front line and say, all right, we're going straight to that back line. That Jinx is not going to be having a good time in these fights if the Street Fighters actually execute on their game plan, right? Nocturne turns the lights off, doesn't even have to go for the Jinx just yet. All of a sudden, good luck dodging Scatter the Weak, good luck dodging public execution.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of range too on that comp too, especially adding Syndra into the mix, and you could really start chunking some of that damage on the side of Jolly Rogers. So we'll see though. I mean, they do have a lot of damage in their own right too, right? Aatrox is could very hard carry the game if you build a strong enough lead. So maybe not everything on the backs of Atlas. And decomposition on the zero. Zero obviously is one of those champs that gets pretty strong and no deal with over time. But Syndra's range though, one of the champs that could definitely match that. So we'll kind of have to see how that plays out. I think the real question is how fast can this Smolder stack up, right? Because if Smolder doesn't, oh, sorry, I have a cat right in front of me. Threw me off a bit.
Man, I want a cat so bad.
Yeah,
I got share.
Well, I do have two, but they're package deal. As you see, this one, she's probably not going to move too much throughout this broadcast, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just a slight pause, so we'll keep you all updated once we have word on what that may be. But something to do with one of the players, I guess, crashed, so might be a server issue at the moment, but we'll keep you all updated.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a couple server crashes here and there. We're going to have to see what this does turn into as the series moves on. Hopefully, we're going to be having a broadcast as we continue. But I got to say, right? So let's take a quick look at these team compositions. Yes. We've talked extensively about diving the backline with that Nocturne, with that Ambessa, with that Syndra, making it very easy to access that backline. The fact that we haven't actually mentioned much about that Smolder Milio is a little bit crazy, right? The Milio, at the very least, makes it particularly difficult for the Sona to get much value out of that ultimate. There's very little that the Milio can actually ulti, barring that Sona ult. But for now, it seems, analysis aside, we're just going to be cutting to a quick intermission as the teams really start to discuss what exactly we do about this scenario on hand.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports Divinity League. This is week number 2, and unfortunately, this broadcast will be cut a little bit short. There are some server-wide issues going on in at least all of North America, not just for Divinity League for Titan Esports. So we're going to wrap it up here, and the teams will probably reschedule, have another time to do that match. But we're here on every Monday outside of that, so catch us next week. But that's going to do it for myself and Anti. Any final words, Anti?
I mean, while we will be here next week on Divinity, don't forget to catch the rest of the matches throughout the week, provided that Riot gets all the servers fixed in time, which, gotta say, it's a little bit important that servers are fixed. So I'm almost certainly anticipating we are going to continue the rest of our streams throughout the week at the same time, 5 p.m. PST, also known as 8 p.m. EST. On Titan Esports NA and Titan Esports 2. So make sure not to miss any of those. Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry that we haven't been able to get the games going, but it's really nothing much that we can do. So we'll hopefully return back to these in the future. But in the meantime, y'all take care.